Hiya, folks. It's me again. Ta-da! Makeup, hair. It's alright, but at least it's better than looking half asleep like I did last night when I left my first video that I intended to share publicly concerning my experience with domestic violence. One of the things I wanted to say is that the most eye-opening experience I had in this journey of, first of all, recognizing that I was dealing with domestic violence, and then understanding that I needed to go to counseling in order to develop an escape plan, was when I went to a support group. Because as 8 of us, we had 8 women in the group, and I, of course, it was my first time. I was very embarrassed to say anything. So I was like, please, they wanted me to go first because I was new. I said, no, I need to hear what the other ladies have to say, because I felt ashamed. And I was so embarrassed that my story would make them go, and I would be looked at poorly, because that's another thing that gets instilled in you when you're dealing with domestic violence. You're dealing with, somebody having broken down your self-confidence, your self-esteem. Oftentimes it starts when we're young girls in our own families. I've had that experience too. So what I wanted to do today for you, as those 8 women, including myself, we went around the circle, the one thing that stood out to me more than anything else is the verbiage they explained that their husbands had put on them, had spoken over them, was exactly like the kind of stuff mine was speaking over me. And I'm like, how is this? How do these men, who none of them know each other, none of us know each other, how is it that all of these abusive men say the same darn things? How do they know? Like, is it a book? Do they read a book? I don't know. So what I wanted to do was sort of share with you. There was a point in my situation where, I've always written, I've always been a writer. But like, I've written some poems, after some deeply frightening experiences. And then after I spent a lot of time kind of, documenting these poems and these things that really helped me to release some of these feelings so that I wouldn't pop. Because if I popped in front of him, well, then that was a fight. And it wasn't going to be a fight. It was going to be me getting beat on. It wasn't going to be a fight. It was just going to get the beat down on me. So what I started doing, in thinking about how it helped me to hear these other women saying the same things that my exes were saying, I could literally go around the room, as they were speaking, and see the different stages where they were at from abuse. And the most alarming one was the woman who came in with pictures from her recent hospitalization. And it was quite tragic. And so what I saw out of this support group is that the abuse comes in steps, right? So they start off cracking that envelope open just a little bit to see how far they can go. And then they, constantly kind of deride your opinions, deride the way you look, so that suddenly you don't want to state your opinion anymore because you feel inadequate. So what I started doing was documenting some of the things that he would say to me, so that I could remember, so that I could always remember that this is what this man thought of me, or these men, rather. So I'm going to read these to you right now. Let's see. One of his favorite things to call me was, the unpleasant word for a man's member, right? That begins with D. So he would love to call me a D-hole. And he wouldn't say it out loud. He would say it, D-hole, kind of under his breath. And it would be immediately upon walking into a room that I was in. So what that said to me is, I need to be hypervigilant, because he's obviously been somewhere ruminating on something I've done, and that's why he's walking into the room now calling me a d-hole. So it was a way for him to like set me off kilter so that I could not be prepared to defend myself. And this one here, this is literally, I started recording some things too. So this is my own transcript of a recording. I hate you, I despise you, I can't count on you for anything, but I can count on you to stuff your big fat face and look ridiculous while you're doing it. I could have had anybody else. Pretty ladies were lined up. They were all better than you. They didn't need to be supported like you. You ruin everything. I should have kicked your sorry arse to the curb a long time ago. You are a big fat... I'm trying to make this proper. Effing, because you know what that means. You are a big fat effing stinking sack of shiznit. You are a shiznit sack. You are a fat lazy slob. Shut the F up, you stupid B word. That was a good one. He really must have thought about this quite hard. I mean, boy, that's intelligence right there. Let me see. I know I have another one or two. Yes. You know, this one speaks to the entitlement of an abusive man. It speaks to the feeling that, and it might, you know, I hate to use the word narcissist because I think that that word like totally got thrown around, very much like the whole, oh, that makes your eyes pop, you know, that color looks so good on you. So I feel like it was, it was like that. It was one of those things where he just thought that I should listen because he had the one right way, the only right way, and I should always listen and do what he says to do, even if my thinking was different. You know, 20 different things you can do in a day, and a lot of those things can be handled differently to achieve the same outcome. So this conversation came up after he told me what to do, and I used my own judgment on how to complete it. But then I got in trouble for not doing it the way he wanted me to, even though the end result was the same. But again, that's a way of attacking your thinking so that you feel inadequate. You don't feel intelligent. And that's what this one was about. So I definitely want to read this one to you, because some of y'all are going to laugh. Come on. There are so many things. When I went to the shelter. I went to the shelter in Apopka with my children to escape this person. I left my home. The only things I took were my kids, my dog, and his food, my dog's food. But this is one of those times he wanted me to know how stupid he thought I was and how disrespectful he thought I was of his opinion. I know women who hang off every word that drips from their husband's mouth. I mean, like legit, that is exactly what he said. He used to love to say that. I know women who they hang off every drip of word. I'm like, what? I never heard of that before. Who you talking about? What women? What women? Okay, I know women who hang off every word that drips from their husband's mouth. Why aren't you like that for me? Why do you have such disrespect and contempt for me? I'm the only reason anything good ever happens for this family, and I am always having to drag you, kicking and screaming, behind me. You do the bare minimum because you don't give a shiznit about anyone but yourself. So, again, selfish. Another frequent word used to describe me was stupid, childish. Oh yeah, a big fat sack of shiznit. My Lord. Yeah. Let me see. I'm sure there's okay. Oh, yes, this was his favorite thing to say to me. It was really big for this ex-husband. It was like everywhere we went to have a family time, everybody ended up pretty upset after a time because he would insist on taking pictures. So let's say we're going to a museum, we're going to the zoo. We lived out of the country for 5 years, maybe 6 years. In the UK, and so we were able to travel a lot, and I saw some wonderful things, but it was always peppered by his expectations. So he wanted photos to prove to everyone what he had done for his family and how he was taking such good care of us. So you can see in so many of the pictures, we weren't getting to enjoy our time visiting this historical site or this great museum or a new town, Oxford, Cambridge. Like so many cool things, we couldn't enjoy ourselves because he was always, first of all, demanding that we stand for pictures, and it was frequent. It was almost like 10 steps picture, 10 steps picture. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but it felt like that. And if you weren't, and it wasn't just, hey, stand there, let me snap this picture real quick. It was, take those glasses off, fix your hair, put your pocketbook down. It was like this whole, it took us 5 minutes to get ready for pictures. And by the time he was done, it turned into sometimes yelling at us because we weren't being photogenic enough. And so in many of the pictures I have of the times during my marriage, these photos, you can look in our eyes, myself, my children, and see that we were not happy. Most beautiful town in Italy, not happy because it was such a torture. We would go to museums, we couldn't read the plaques. I went to the Roman baths, and I'll never forget, I am a total history science nerd, so I really love being able to read the information, especially when I went to, oh my Lord, Sherwood. I went to like Sherwood Forest, people. I went to the town and I got to go to a museum made up in the castle where Robin Hood supposedly attacked and all this kind of stuff. Like, it was so much fun. And there was so much for me and the kids to learn because the kids were being homeschooled. Granted, I did a terrible job homeschooling. It was just not my thing. I did not do well with that. But still, from that mindset, I wanted the children to be able to read these plaques as we traveled throughout the castle and, got to see how life was lived back in the 1200s, 1000s, whatever. But we always had to take these pictures, and it just really, really stunk. So one of my ex-husband's favorite things to do to me, because I'd be like, hey, I don't want to take your picture right now. I'm reading this. I'm investigating this. I'm showing something to the children. It was, you ruin everything good I try to do for this family. And that was like one of the favorites because it could be used in any situation. So I just want you, if you're a lady out there who's been through what I've been through, consider some of those words. Consider some of the words, and maybe it helps you recognize that you're dealing with some verbal abuse, some emotional abuse. We just need to get this out there. We need to expose it. We just need to expose it. So I'm going to end this video now, and then I'm going to pull up a couple of the poems that I wrote, and then I think I'm going to need to be done for today because the content matter brings a lot up for me. It's been 4 or 5 years since I've been divorced, and I'm telling you, I still need therapy over it. I still need therapy, but I'm so much better now. So much better now. But this is a lot of emotional energy for me to put my truth out for people to see. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope this helps you. They all read the same book. Same book. Love you, girls. And gentlemen.